we finished the introduction on management, where we talked about the definition of management, the functions of management, the difference between leadership and management. We talked about the principles of management. We talked about also the context of theories of management and the evolution. We talked about also on change management and the importance and all the rationale, how to process the change management. So we are going to continue about the resource management. In the resource management, we have the equipments, consumables, and also we have some drugs in the hospital. We have the drugs where you have to manage. Now we are going to talk about the human resource management, which is a big part of the part about the resource management. When we talk about human resource management, it's all about the staff. Normally in a hospital, we have the variety of staff, multidisciplinary team, where we find the clinical staff, such as allied healthcare professionals, doctors or medical doctors. We have also nurses and midwives. And those we have also administrative staff and support staff, where we have like an administrative staff. We can have like Director General of the hospital. We have also financial staff. We have human resource department. We have at corporate. Find according to the structure and the level of the institution. We have many positions according to the level of organization. So when you go to health center, for example, you're going to find the head of health center, and you are going to find also the other departments, accounting, customer care service, and also data management, and also nurses and midwives. But you also have support staff. We have the drivers, those maybe people working in the laundry, those who carry patients, and can have also maintenance team. So all of them, they are part of human resource. I think everyone can hear me. It is not exchange. In the current learning process, just you have to exchange. Reason why you have to prepare also your presentations. So when you have a session, you have to be ready that you can present. So please don't be like the people from the students from primary school or secondary school. You are at a university level. You have to make sure that you are ready to present your assignment. So please, I remind you to be to take this into consideration so that you can be able to present anytime when you have a session. So when I give you an assignment, you have to be ready that you can present at any time. Thank you. That was a communique that I want to start with. So when we talk about human resource management, is if you have while I'm presenting, if you have any point, any question, you are going to stop me, and then you raise your hand, then you ask your question, you put your inputs before I leave this slide. As human resource management is defined as the integrated use of policies, procedures, and practices to recruit, retain, and develop employees in order for the organization to meet its desired goals. When we talk about human resource management, it's all about the use integrated. When we say integration, that's use, there is a combination of use in policies, procedures, and practices, where we have to recruit. When you recruit new staff, you have to put strategies of retaining him or her, develop employees in order also for the organization to meet the staff planning, recruitment, orientation of the organization, training, education, staff development, employee relations, performance management, policies and procedures, and record keeping or personal file keeping. In staff planning, we have as definition is to anticipate and plan the future for the future staffing needs of the hospital or organization. It's important because if you don't plan well, you will not have the right number of the staff you need. Maybe your employees are many or are few. Also, the right type of employee to provide care to patients. You can recruit maybe more midwives than nurses. As you know, nurses can work in different areas more than midwives. If you have a general hospital, for example, you need more nurses than midwives. But if you have, for example, a maternity and a neonatology center, you need more midwives than nurses. So now you have to know which types of employee do you to care for the patients. Um, your workforce change or your staff change. For example, if you change in the services offered, for example, if you you have like an institution and maybe you have five you are offering, for example, an outpatients, and now you add inpatients. That time you can also change the workforce in the number and also the types of professionals. Skills and expertise changes, full-time and the part-time mix changes, number of people in particular role change. For example, here in changing the service offered, if you add, for example, nephrology program, this nephrology deals with the kidney problems. For example, if you add that, for example, dialysis unit, you need some, for example, nephrologist or a nurses specialized in nephrology who are going to follow patients in dialysis unit and the other nephrology cases. Skill expertise changes. For example, you can decrease the number of A2 nurses and you increase more 1 nurses. If, for example, you have full-time and part-time mix change, you need, for example, there are 4 midwives who are in a school and they must work part-time. That also they can be a change in your staff. If you have in your department some nurses, midwives who join the school, and sometimes they come, for example, in the weekend, the other days they join the school, have also to plan for this. Number of people in a particular law change. For example, you can decrease the number of GPs assigned for the hospital. This is also another factor which can influence the change. Can you hear me now? Okay, very good. So when you are planning to plan the staff, also it's called staffing, you have to think about the skill mix, and also you have to think about the staff to demand. In the skill mix, for example, you have many tasks. Here we have tasks, you have roles. If, for example, you are in a hospital and you have people who have to do some tasks, you have to know which one among the staff is assigned to do a particular role or particular responsibility. For example, scheduling a meeting. If a doctor is there, a nurse there, patient transporter, porter, cleaner, administrative assistant, a technician, there is anesthesia, radiology, kinesiotherapy or physiotherapy. There's also drivers. So these people, if you have these and you have these tasks, you have to know which one is going to be done by who. And sometimes you see When you go, for example, to clinical services, you find that some interns, when you are in a clinical practice, you run away every time to transport the samples from the unit to a laboratory. That takes time. Sometimes it takes you much time. And as we saw in efficiency, if you want to to manage time and the shortage of staff who are in an institution, you have to think about also that how to uh, to allocate people in a particular roles and which are specific, also to help the shortage of staff to be maximized or optimized. So, for example, to schedule a meeting can be done by administrative assistant, and the cleaning can be done by a cleaner. Administrative assistant also can take minutes for the meeting. But if you take, for example, in a meeting, you take a nurse is taking minutes, and or a porter is performing surgeries. That is not the right way of planning. This is only why when you are planning stuff, you have also think on this skill mix. Taking specimen to lab, this can be done by patient transporter. Ahangana urugero murabizi ahantu hose urasanga hari shortage y'aba nurses, abaganga, ababyaza ni bake, ariko ugasanga umunsi wose umunasi yiriwe atwara amasamples hehe muri labo, agaruka agira gutaya preleva, kandi gutwara sample nta kindi bisaba. You can even hire someone ukamwigisha safety, ukazabifata neza, then ukajya abafasha kubitwara. Sometimes it takes time planning where the human resources are not well managed, some hospitals or institutions. Writing memos and getting stamps can be done by administrative assistant. The driver can transport sample. Also, the transporter and the porter can also transport patient. Taking vital signs and also parameters like height, weight, this can be done by a nurse. Performing surgeries, this can be done by the doctor. Also, documenting patient progress, it can be done by a doctor and also those technicians, allied health staff. And also a nurse can do it, but obtaining blood urgently, this can be done by many people, where a nurse can do it, patient transporter can do it, and also other healthcare professionals. That is an example on skill mix, where when you have to plan for the number of staff you need, you have also to think on the scope of services which will be done, and staff to do a task that is less skilled person can do. Iyo ibi ngibi ubitekerejeho mbere, ntabwo ubasha kuhayaringa abantu bazakora akazi kari highly skilled, ugasanga barakora care ahikenewe. For example, transporting blood, nurse can transport blood, porters also can't provide nursing care. For example, a lesser skilled person can transport blood as a porter, but a nurse who is highly skilled also can transport it, but also has other responsibility of providing nursing care. Instead of giving him or her much time to provide nursing care, and is wasting much time in transporting the samples. That is an example where you have to consider staffing according to their skills. So it's better to use the nurse to continue providing nursing care, not working away from patients' transport blood to the lab. So, second principle of good staffing is about staff to demand. Staff to demand, as definition, is number of staff working should match the workload. Sometimes you allocate, if you are a manager, for example, director of nursing or head of department, can appoint number of staff. For example, 3 nurses in surgery, 5 nurses in internal medicine, maybe 5 also nurses in operating theater. To allocate the number, these number of staff or that are needed in department should be based on workload. And to define a workload, when we talk about the workload, nurse-patient ratio, but if you can analyze, if you have one patient where you have like 5 procedures to perform per day, maybe we are going to do a wound dressing, which is maybe has a big wound. Patient will have medication. Patient will have maybe you have to wash him or her. You are going also to make records for the patient. You are going also to feed him. Sometimes critical patients, you have to feed them. Reason why we have different alternatives or different approaches where we allocate the human resource for health in the hospitals on different units. It's not just to say this in the ICU, I put only when maybe you have ICU of 5 beds, that 3 nurses are going to cover the ICU unit. No, because there are some standard ratios, nurse-patient ratios that you have to follow. For example, in the ICU, one nurse must also have in his duty one patient. In maternity, for example, in the labor, in the delivery, there should be two midwives by one mother who is attending the delivery, who is in the labor and who is ready to give to deliver. So that is where you have to think about the workload. And the workload is just the time spent that you have to spend at each procedure, each intervention. Workload when is high, you need more staff. And when workload is low, also you have, you need also few staff. So the minimum staff level do exist, even if there is only one patient in the ICU, you still need 2 nurses. That is what I was talking. You need a staff who is going to work in night, and another staff is going to work on day. This is to say that this room has many patients, and also we have to appoint many nurses. That is not true. You have also to think about the conditions and the needs. What is the workload of one patient who is in the ICU? Because you have suction, you have change position every 2 hours, you have to feed, you have to make hygiene and the other procedures. You have to follow the IV lines. You have to follow the oxygen and the ventilation. You have to make a follow-up of everything. Sometimes those patients are independent on the machine, where you have to see how the ventilation is. You monitor the vital signs. All vital signs must be recorded in every 15 or 30 minutes. So you are busy. Reason why, to allocate, you can say there is only one patient in the ICU or in the NICU, neonatology intensive care, or in the labor ward, where you are monitoring, for example, the CTGs, cardiotocograph. When we be maybe managers, please don't think there are many patients. I also are going to appoint also many nurses. If, for example, in the general internal medicine, you can have one nurse out of 8 or 7 patients. That is a standard ratio according to the WHO. Is it clear for you? I think. So that was a first function of human resource management. Second one is about recruitment. A recruitment is the process to find the best qualified candidates for a job opening. Iyo tugiye muri recruitment ya Minisiteri y'Ubuzima, murarangiza kwiga mukabona license, mwarangiza mugashyira mukaapurayinga muri system amadosiye yanyu, barangiza bakareba bakabapurentinga. So ariko that is the standard where your job description as a nurse is well determined by the Minister of Health or the council, and where you can be appointed, you can go and work. But sometimes you see in health centers, some nurses work in different areas where the scope of their practice is not well respected. This is why you have to be careful. If, for example, you are a nurse and you are night duty at the health center level, and you are alone, and you have maybe a mother who comes for delivery, you have to assess well that condition to see if you are able to help her or not. If not, you have to call for help or you transfer the case. So the scope of practice is very important. The first step in the recruitment process is to analyze the requirements of the job. To analyze the requirement for the job is just to see the job description. What are the requirements for this job? Which category of staff do I need, and the requirements? What will be the job summary, the job responsibilities? What will be the qualification of this staff? What will be the key, the competencies, and also the other experiences that the staff should have. Then after you are going to screen and select applicants, then you hire and welcome the hired staff to the organization. It's important because the employee is the service and the product. If the employee is not there, and also patients and families can't be cared. Also, the people are the most expensive resources, and also we must steward the resources well. What is now is needed for recruitment? A good recruitment. A good recruitment is who should be involved, and also what should be known, and also how are going to select. For performing a good recruitment, people who is going to work closely with the new hired people. Is only why, if, for example, you want to hire someone who will work, for example, in surgery, think the better also to be in a team is going to hire the staff to be part of the hiring team. Also, it's better to have a multidisciplinary group on the team which is assigned for recruitment. That is also to avoid a no conflict of interest. For example, if there is a family member, you should not participate in that interview. Niba ari umuntu family member wawe ubona waje gushaka akazi, ukabona nawe wagiye muri recruitment committee, wabimenyesha kare muri jemu. So you are going to do this exercise if you want to. A nurse in charge in maternity. Nowadays, we hire nurses, we hire midwives. For now, we have few nurses who are managing are well trained Who can do this? So who can answer this question? If you are hiring a midwife, a midwife in charge of maternity, who will be your group? Remember, who can answer? Please raise your hand and answer. Murimo muranyumva? None ko mudasubiza se? Niba tugiye guhayaringa umubyaza uhagarariye maternité, ni bande bazaba? Aha, Mutesi Christine. Mutesi Christine, can you answer?
I think the human resource should be there. And maybe the medical director or head of maternity at that time.
Human resource manager, then head of maternity.
Yes. And the senior midwives or maybe the experienced colleagues there.
Senior midwife?
Yes, that they are working there, or the experienced colleagues that have been working there.
Experienced colleague. You are going to recruit someone who will be the manager of the maternity as a midwife.
Okay.
Because you don't have, on this position, this is a vacant position where you don't have someone in charge of maternity and you want to recruit him or her. At the hospital, the team will be composed by who and who? One, human resource manager. Second?
Second, I said the medical director.
Medical director?
Yes.
Why?
I think this person will assess the clinical skills and qualification of the candidate.
The skills and from the director of the hospital, do we have other subordinates in the clinical service? Mutesi Christine.
Yes.
Tugiye kwanga umubyaza. Urahita ugenda ujya gushaka deje w'ibitaro aba aruza muri komite, yenda ujye na directeur wa nursing, urebe umuganga uhagarariye maternité, urebe yenda n'umubyaza w'umusiniya waba uri muri maternité, urebe human resource waba ari umuntu nyine ushinzwe n'ubundi bijyanye n'iby'abakozi. Ujye kuri deje hari n'umuntu uba uhagarariye clinical service. Uhita ujya kuri deje, abo bantu bose bo hasi nta bandi ushobora gufatamo. Nk'ubu urugero, ugiye guhayaringa umwarimu iruri aje muri interview. Ni ngombwa ko vice chancellor nawe aza muri interview y'umwarimu.
Tugiye guhayaringa umwarimu,
tuvuge ko ruri university y'iruri igiye guhayaringa umwarimu. Kandi tuhaya urabyumva?
Yes. Ndabyumva.
Aha, ruri bakeneye umwarimu. Ugiye gukora pano iza n'umwarimu uzigisha muri nursing, sibyo? Hari HOD, hari DVC, hari human resource manager, hari abarimu batandukanye, ni ngombwa ko vice chancellor aza muri pano.
Ntabwo ari ngombwa ariko ashobora no kuza.
None wowe niwe uhereyeho. Okay, abandi murabyumva mute? Mukore team. Ejo bundi muraba abayobozi b'ama health centers, mu abayobozi batandukanye. ujye muri recruiting abakozi, n'ujya muri recruitinga usanga abanasi turafata mu mwaka wa nyuma tukabigisha ibintu by'ubuyobozi, ariko mwagera muri practice mukadukorera amabara. Ugasanga staff zanyu nta motivation bafite, nta performance management system ihari, ntabwo umustaff muhugura, ntabwo ategereza ko RBC yonyine ari izamuhugura. ese arakora amasaha y'ikirenga mukumva ko ari ibisanzwe. Iri somo turimo kubigisha ni isomo rigomba gukompletinga amasomo yose mwize, rigomba kubashyiramo ikintu noneho cy'ubuyobozi. Murabyumva? Ntabwo rero mubanze mwikuremo za medical and surgical nursing, mukuremo za abnormal na za normal midwifery, ubundi muze hano muze muri leadership neza na management. Ubu ibintu byose narabyize, ariko se ngiye kubiyobora gute noneho sasa? Ubu turi mu buyobozi. Ntabwo rero abantu iyo biga ubuyobozi bagomba kuba nabo bari smart. Siko bimeze? Muze no kwibuka gukora attendance. Ariko hari abakora attendance bagahita bigendera, tukabashaka tukababura. Nungura umuntu buze tumukureho amanota, sibyo? Siko bimeze? So the good treatment on what we finish by who, and what should be known is that we have to know the job title, job description on the role of the major functions, ibintu bita terms of references, rebe qualifications, harimo education, work experience, n'izindi credentials afite, harimo ama license n'ibindi. Turebe payment na benefits umukozi azabona, then schedules, when must they be at work and how many hours each week and what days and others. How now are you going to select the staff? You are going to use a clear and standard interview and testing process. Interview behavioral based or understanding standard decision making criteria. Kuri interview rero iri behavior, have to make interview techniques where a candidate is asked to evaluate if the candidate is good for the position. Maybe after this course also, when you get also the leadership and management position, you learn more about how to conduct the exams for new staff. Be a written exam, interview, and how to process. We're going to learn more. These types of interview we help to match the candidate's qualification and interest within the mission, the needs of the job, culture, values, and workplace practices. And it's going to give the higher chance of successful matching the right person, the right job. The core components of the job description, there is the job title, brief description of the role, key functions where you have responsibilities and activities, reporting relationship. Staff must this must describe to whom and the role reports, qualifications, require degrees, license, certificates, years of experience, work hours, maybe full-time or part-time, days, weekends, and night, work locations, and any job hazards, and the compensation range. When you say the compensation, that's the pay plus benefits that the employee receives from the employer. Is going to pay by cash or die. This is the cash payments to employees. For example, the salaries that you get and the bonus doesn't need to be also determined in the recruitment. You have also to explain the benefits that the staff will get which are the service or time that organization pays for health insurances, paid in annual leave, maternity leave, the bereavement leave, food, uniform, trainings, and others. As a summary, we had purpose of recruitment, what we need for the good recruitment, interview, which is behavior, and the core component of job descriptions, and we talked about the compensations. That was about the recruitment. Iyo umustaff rero amaze kuba recruited, uba ugomba kumworienta ageze mu kazi. Turaza kureba organization orientation, turebe iyo bita departmental orientation cyangwa specific orientation, turebe jobs n'akazi umukozi agomba gukora, turebe na organization chart. Aha iyo tworienta murabona 3 levels. Hari kumweru ko hagati ni akazi, hariya k'ubururu ni muri department. Organization ni yindi y'ikigo cyose. Iyo umustaff rero yinjiye mu kazi, abazakora aka kantu hano imbere k'umweru, ariko mbere y'uko agera kwa aka k'umweru akakora, agomba kubanza kumenya ibibera mu kigo. Iyo ngiyo niyo bita general orientation of new staff. Namwe igihe muzaba bahaye appointment from the Ministry of Health, you are going to get, if you get the hospital, the other institution, they are going to do for you an orientation to know the mission, vision of the institution, and also know how the organization works. And when you go to department, also they show you specifically what are you going to do, what the department does, and also in line with your job description. An organization level can see, for example, the policies, the map with the boundaries of the institution, the leadership structures, the organization chart. By the department, it can show you the equipment, supplies, some policies, specific policies in the department. They can also show you the procedures and guidelines of the co-workers, communication. When you go to the law job, they are going to show you the expectation. The line manager, your line manager will show you expectations which are daily, weekly, monthly communication. The other information which can be also needed can be also added. So to orient someone to organizations is just to give the guidance about organization culture and practices, as well as specific work responsibilities for a new employee. It's important because you have to be familiar with and committed to the work. It reduces employee anxiety and of working in the new environment, and understand organizations' expectations and tells employee what to expect from the job and the organization. Organization chart is a picture of the organization's departments and the roles and how they relate to each other. It's important because it shows how departments relate to each other and shows important reporting relationship, shows how who is in charge, important communication tool, requires for accreditation, it requires for employee orientation. It's all. As now a summary, we talked about the organizational, departmental, and job role organization chart. So that is all about the orientation as the third function of human resource. When a staff is oriented and now knows what to do in a specific work where he or she is appointed, we have to also to think about how to train, to educate, or to improve knowledge and the skills of this staff. We are going to talk about the importance of training, education, and staff development, and types of training that staff need, and also how an organization can create a learning environment which will help or will facilitate the staff to learn within the workplace. As a definition, these ongoing education activities offered to employees to improve skills, expertise, or knowledge in their field of work. It can be in informal training, formal training that is given normally in the process of work. It can be service training. It can be also continuing education. It can be a professional development courses, which can be short term or long term. This is very important because it helps employees practice existing skills and learn new skills. If you understand the accreditation process of the hospital, the accreditation for different institutions, that requires trainings, continuous trainings, which are very important. It builds and maintains the morale of the staff. It also encourages professionals to stay up to date on new developments. It prepares also the organization to meet new changes. If, for example, there is the type of, this is like an example, the type of training employee need. If, for example, employee need to review their knowledge and skills, an example of training, you can teach them how to conduct a proper hand washing techniques. If you, for example, want to demonstrate the competences, you can teach them how they can create an Excel spreadsheet. If you want to new or to revise policies and procedures, the new policy for reporting medical errors can be taught. If you want the staff to get new knowledge, for example, you can give or present on a new way to treat heart attack by patients. Maybe there is a new protocol which is in place. The staff must be aware of for this. You have to. This is the kind of getting a new knowledge. The example of new skills. If, for example, you are able now to intubate patients, this can be a new skills learned in a profession or in your workplace. Then you have to create a learning environment so that the training, education, and staff development becomes facilitated. The learning environment is there when an organization learning is encouraged and supported. People are not afraid to admit mistakes. People learn from mistakes. People are always working to improve. People can have fun while learning, and differences are appreciated. Leaders are open to new ideas. And there is time for reflection. Importance of training, education training, and staff environment, type of training employee needs, and creating a learning environment. When you go to employee relations as a fifth function of human resource management, we're going to see how employees relation done. This process, maybe we are going to learn it after, but we are going to talk about maybe the styles that we can use. Employees relation is just, as you know, the prevention and resolution of work-related problems involving staff. That is all about employees relations. Prevention and resolution of work-related problems involving staff. The staff can't live without having some conflicts. And those conflicts sometimes are very important to be like engine of improving the services which are in place. It's important because the managers are assisted to address employee performance problems. Trust the managers follow laws, Ministry of Health and also hospital policies. The managers also will be able to be treated fairly or to treat employees fairly. And, helps managers and staff members to resolve conflicts so that employees can continue to work productively. The conflict resolution is that is a process where it helps people in the conflicts to work together and understand and resolve conflicts in a professional manner. The conflict as definition is interaction among parties that differ in interest, perceptions, and preferences. Conflict is not when there is a disagreement on my own, that is a kind of conflict. For example, I can say this mother must be operated, must undergo a C-section because there is no progress. There is no labor progress. Doesn't midwives who are here. As you know, sometimes you monitor a mother in labor, then you find that there is no progress according to the standards. And find some also other maybe risk factors which are in place. Maybe the mother is exhausted or there is irregularity in the fetal heart rates. So you can say it's better then to operate this mother in order to save both baby and the mother. So those GPs, sometimes they don't have much experiences in maternity issues. If, for example, you are with a gynecologist, can understand more what you are talking about than a general practitioner who is in place. So that disagreement that you have, that decision can create a conflict. But that conflict is not to say that you are going to fight. That is there, that disagreement which is there will help you for the future to have a good decision according to that disagreement. The conflict resolutions is important, but sometimes the styles that are used are many. Sometimes people can make a confrontation, but other can compete, but others can also let it down and they go away. The conflict, is normal and is often, but is not well managed. Also, they disrupt the works and limits productivity. If the conflicts are many in institution, productivity also is low. But as an impact can also, as a long term, can also bring the needed change that will help in organizations. So these are the steps that we use that can be used in the conflict management. First one is to define the disagreement, and you show why these people. Second one, you have to establish a common goal, and also you show why this goal is very also important. Here in the first step, we have to know why these people in a conflict, what was the source? Is it really a conflict or not? What was the predisposing factor of having this conflict? You define it. Then you are going to establish the common goal together, which is with the help to resolve this conflict. And then you are going to discuss how the common goal will be met, and you determine the barriers to the common goals. You agree on the best way to solve the conflict, and you determine what each person must do to implement the solution. If you use this process, it will be completed by all people who are involved in the conflict. There are also other styles that are used in conflict management as the styles. You find the people can use these 5 styles that can be used in conflict management. Here we have there is assertiveness, and here we have cooperativeness. You can manage the conflict by being assertive or by being cooperative. If you want to cooperate, that you are smooth and you need a kind of cooperation for resolving the conflict. But sometimes you are aggressive and you are assertive, where you are showing like a confidence, or you show a forceful, that is like a force, a personality of fighting, like you become like a contingent. That is, you are not somehow aggressive, but you show your confidence or your self-assurance that you have that kind of truth about your opinion or your position. So here you can be accommodate. Let us start by competing. Here in this part, people, they are in a cooperative, and this part of competing and avoiding, they are not cooperative, and this avoiding is not an assertive, But for this, competing is assertive also with collaborating in the competing, there's an assertive, but for cooperative, the accommodating and the cooperative. And the cooperative, they're competing and avoiding. And the neutral one is compromising. This is to say that if, for example, people is compromising, now is competing, let's start by competing. This style is for all the headstroke folks. With this approach, take a firm stance and refuse to budge until you get what you want. You are unmoved by perspectives of the other parties involved in the conflict. If you go back on this diagram, you find that competing is someone who can't, ni wa muntu utava kwizima uvuga uti ngewe ibyo navuze nta kindi ndi burenzeho, niba utabyemeye ubireke nta kindi ndi burenzeho. Competinga until the end. And collaborating, avuga nubwo twagiranye ibibazo ibi n'ibi tutumvikana kuri ibi, ariko dushobora kwegerana tukagira discussion tukaba twabyumva kimwe. That is about collaborating. And this is neutral one, who is in the central. This one is compromising. He says that tries to find a way to partially satisfy people on both sides of the argument. Adjustments are made on both ends to resolve the conflicts at hand. Wifuzaga ko uyu muntu mubaga mu minota 10, ariko noneho aho kugira ngo ndeke ko mubaga burundu ntacyo reka mubaga mu minota 20. So that's like they are compromising. They share the situation which is in place. For example, even in the social life, if there is a disagreement between the people, the couple, for example, a couple can say, so I have tried to manage the situations which is in place, the issues, but now I think it's time to separate. Let me, 50% is for you, 50% is for me. Let us, everyone stays alone. And that is what we call compromising. Twabyumvikanaga kimwe, ariko kubera position yanjye nta numwe uri ku ushaka kugira gute giving up, and it's better 50-50 that everyone are benefiting ibingana n'ibyundi, then tubirekera aho ngaho. That is compromising. Competing iyo umwe agomba kunesha undi ko byagenda kose twabibonye. Collaborating, they come together and they understand and they agree on what they have to do. Avoiding, avuga rero ngewe nifitiye agatwe, ufite agatwe gatoya arihungira agahungisha amabuye. Let me just singiye guterana amagambo nawe, reka nigendere, singiye guhangana nawe, ntashaka no kumva n'ibyo uvuga. Avoid. accommodating ibyo wambwira byose turacyajyana. In avoiding, you don't deal with a conflict at all. You avoid a confrontation and leave other party hanging. That is a risk approach because doing nothing doesn't make the conflict go away. And it can strain a relationship since it will seem as you don't care about outcome. Abantu bagira avoiding ni nk'abo badashaka kumva n'ahantu hari conflict, ntibashaka no kumenya ko conflict ibaho, ariko surely ntabwo ari uko conflict bidahari, ahubwo bifite risk cyane kubera ko iyo conflict bihari kandi ntibivuyeho and is not resolved for the future, ishobora guteza ibibazo bikomeye cyane. Kindi nuko kuri compromising navuzeho uwase ndaje mu kanya ngo ijambo. When reaching a solution is more important than the solution itself. When you need a temporary solutions and you are in a standstill, uvuga ngo 50-50 turumvikanye, ariko ntibivuga ko n'ubundi icyo kibazo kiba gikemutse 100%. Kindi no muri ya mbere twarebye ya competing, iyi uyu yaneshejwe kubera imbaraga nke afite, maybe is not umuyobozi uri muri disagreement n'umuntu kurusha power, uravuga utereka mbyihorera ariko ntibikuvamo, n'ubundi biba bishobora kuzamuka anytime. Ubundi buryo bwiza bwakagombye kuba collaboration, because in collaborating people see it and everyone understands the opinion of others and take decision. It can be maybe the presence of mediators. Mediator can help you also to understand and also to take a position, but in a collaborative way. And others, I think, when you accommodate things, bikubera umutwaro, urabyemera kuko nta kundi wagira, ariko aho uzabiturira umunsi umwe ntabwo bizakorohera. Aha, ninde wabazaga? Yazamura kaboko n'ubundi niba gifite ikibazo cyangwa niba yabyumvise tugakomeza. Birumvikana? Is it clear for everyone? I see Angelique is writing Diego. I think it's clear. Amen. Wimana Janet.
Thank you. I don't understand about accommodating.
Accommodating. Ninde wayumvise ngo ayitubwire. Accommodating. Amen yo kwizera. Amen yo kwizera. Can you ask?
Yes, njye nafite ikibazo.
Ushaka gusubiza
njye mfite ikibazo.
Naguhaye umwanya ni wabaza.
Ni network issues gusa ubu ngubu ndahari. Njye nashaka kubaza hanga tukwiga isomo ry'ubuyobozi.
Icyo Janet yabajije wacyumvise?
Yatubaje kuri accommodating.
Wabanza ugasubiza.
Accommodating ndabona hanga nyine ubwo umwe agerageza nyine kwihanganira burden y'undi. Ariko njye nagacyo nashaka kubaza. Icyo nashaka kubaza ukuntu dusobanuriye nkaho nyine kudusobanura ukuntu condition ya conflict nyine hagati y'umu wenda tubwina abanasi babiri bafite conflict, ukuntu dusobanuriye n'umunasi mufite conflict wenda n'undi n'urugero no utubwira situation y'ukuntu bo bameze, ariko se twe nk'umuyobozi wowe niba wenda umwagize avoiding cyangwa ndakagira accommodating cyangwa ndakagira bakagira collaboration cyangwa ndakagira competing, wowe nk'umuyobozi wawe solving ute? Okay, nicyo kibazo nari mfite. Hanga nuko bidusobanura tubwiye nkaho nyine abanasi babiri wenda umwagize avoidance, agize avoidance wowe nk'umuyobozi wabikora hiki?
Barakoze kubaza. Wakurikiye ama presentation yabanje? Wakurikiye
slides nakurikiranye?
nta kintu wabonyemo.
yego
Aha, izi steps ni iziki?
ni za conflict resolution.
Kirasubijwe ikibazo ubajije?
Ntabwo nari nasubizwa neza.
None se izi steps ni iziki?
Ni
Wowe
za
niba uri
conflict
umuyobozi,
resolution.
none se niba uri umuyobozi
Nyine
ko
nk'urugero waduhaye ukadusobanurira ukuntu kondisiyo imeze, duhe nk'urugero kuvuga ati wenda niba umwe yagize avoidance ukoresheje izi step wagisolovinga gutya.
I would like to answer umuntu wabajije kuri accommodating style. Mbere twabanje kureba ko ni umuntu aba ari highly cooperative, agasikinga gusatisfyinga needs and concerns of the other parties, ariko ukuntu atarari kubyumva ni njyewe ukuntu mbyumva ni conflict management iba ari uko umuntu yaputinze into interest of others before their own, sometimes at the point bakaneglectinga their own needs. Akaba ari na loss assertiveness nk'uko wabitubwiye, kubera ko bati ara downplaying on their own concerns, rero byaba byinshi akaba atabasha kubikipinga we iyo bimaze kumubana byinshi, hanyuma yaba relieved bikaba ariho biza gutera ikibazo. Murakoze.
arakoze Gemini, nibyo rwose ibyo usubije nabisubije neza. Ninde yansubiza Eme? Ko Eme ntabwo afite network. The time you have and everything, this should be done by you in exercise, but I can't go at giving a case study of each, and we go, if for example these people, you can make like a simulation, if you are together, and then you practice how you can resolve a conflict. For us, we are giving you the structure and the guidelines how you can perform. For you, it's just to make an extensive practices, and also with following the guidance that we are giving. Urumva Yeme, ntabwo twakwicara ngo tujyemo, ntabwo twakiga period mufite nk'isomo rya human resource management. If you continue maybe your courses in the university, in the master program, you can ushobora kuryiga tuvuge ibyumweru 2. Rero niba ngiye kuryigisha isaha imwe, ntabwo wavuga ngo urakora practice zose bikunde, sibyo? Hari ibintu tugenda dutanga bitewe na level yanyu muriho, sibyo? Ntabwo rero yendo wavuga ngo turicara tuje muri practice za conflict management, mukore simulation, mukore exercise, tubahe case studies, tukiri kuri conflict management. That's we are giving an overview. And also you can read the literatures if you have nuba ufite interest yo gukomeza kubyiga, ariko niyo mpamvu levels zigenda zibaho, icyiciro bibaho, bakavuga ati wowe uracyari kuri diploma urabona ibi, nawe urajya kuri level ya bachelor degree urabona ibi, masters urabona ibi, PhD urabona ibi. So nibyo ngibyo, niyo mpamvu rero ibyo tubaha ntabwo bavuga ngo tubaha byose, sibyo? That's we are giving an overview. Ariko hano njye mba naragerageje kubaha ahubwo details zifatika. Niba naguhaye steps ushobora gucamo ukaba wakemura iyo conflict, hasigaye ni wowe nuko exploiter izi steps ndazinjiza noneho muri practice gute. Ariko ntago aka kanya ngo turajya muri steps ya buri step twinjiremo, ni gute turakora root cause analysis, turebe turuzi uzakoresha, turebe iki, uramenya source ya conflict yaravuye he, batugire gute. Ibyo byose byadutwara iminsi irenga igihe muzigira iyi module yose. Is it clear? Steps rero naziguhaye, then you can go further and read and also practice as if you are a manager. These steps are conflict resolutions. You are going to use them to resolve the conflicts zishobora kuba zabaye. Ariko these styles uzazibona mu bantu batandukanye, kenshi ziraba umunsi ku wundi, tuzita styles because they happens at any time at the level of organizations, ariko nk'umuyobozi ntabwo uzakora accommodating, because nukora accommodating uri umuyobozi, ejo izo conflicts zabaye mu bantu bizarangira utari ikigo cyuzuyemo ama conflicts abantu bikoreye bagize gute. Reason why for a leader you have to use those previous six steps in order to resolve the conflicts. I think it's very clear. So the step 6 for human resource management is performance management. When we talk about performance management, is all about the process by which the manager helps employees to perform well. You are going to remember that the employees are the service in your product. I think this is very important. If you succeed it, also the organization will succeed. Performance management now is a process by which managers and employees work together to plan, monitor, and review employees' work objectives and the overall contribution within the organization. It's important because when the employees perform well, also the organization will meet the goal. Before performing performance management, you have to set expectations. To set the expectations, that is to communicate how the employee, how the organization works, and also what the job requires to them to do. It's important because kugira ngo ubashe gukora performance management y'umukozi, muzagenda mwumva nimugera nimusoza amasomo mugeze mu kazi muzabona icyo bita RBF, result based finance, niyo bita ngo performance based finance. Nuvuga ngo for example, niba dushaka ko nko muri malaria 95 projection, icyegeranyo cya 95 n'uba mwaracyumvise ko abantu bose nibura bapimwa ababaye positive bose bagashirwa ku miti, abashizwe ku miti nabo bakabasha kugira gute ku comply muza zabo complyinga kuri ku gufata imiti. Ibyo urugero niba ushaka ko abantu bose bose wapimye bazajya ku miti, ni urugero, icyo gihe ni expectation ni result ushaka. Ariko urugero niba waravuze uti ushaka ko muri maternité nta birth asphyxia izigera ibamo, that is expectation cyangwa se goal uri gusetting abakozi bawe mbere y'uko ubundi uzakureba performance zabo. Ese wa setting expectation ubashakaho, nicyo ngicyo ubanza gutekereza. Ubundi uyu mukozi ko namusize mu kazi nshaka ko azagera kuki. Bishobora rero kuba that is performance based, ntabwo biba biri result based. Niba biri hari bitewe n'ama indicators ahantu ari, ushobora kuvuga uti urugero nshaka ko abakozi banjye bazuzuza yenda tuvuge medical records zizuzuzwa neza ku buryo yenda ni 100% cyangwa 95%. Icyo gihe ura setting expectations. Then it's important because it will help to avoid failures. Niba umwaka ugiye gutangira guta umwaka uzarangira, yenda abarwayi bacu bari muri satisfaction survey twakoze, abarwayi bacu bari satisfaction level yabiri hasi, dushaka ko izava yenda ku 75% ikagera ku 95%. Ibyo ugomba kubisetinga hakiri igihe, ntabwo ubizana ngo bibatureho igihe kigize gute, igihe cyararenze, especially before the fiscal year cyangwa budgeting year. Abantu bagomba gusetinga iyo plan, bagashyiraho expectations. Niyo mpamvu muzabibona mugeze mu kazi aho basetinga Minisiteri y'abakozi ba leta ishyiramo yakoze system ibyo bita result based management. Nk'iyo ngiyo mugenda mwerekana, niho mwumva ngo umukozi ngo yavuye ngo yabaye promoted, yazamuwe, yagize icyo bita ngo kuzamurwa mu ntera. Iyo niyo bita horizontal promotion. Horizontal promotion na vertical promotion. Vertical promotion niyo uba wavuye ku rwego rw'umurimo wagiye mu rundi rwego rw'umurimo. Ariko horizontal promotion ni buri registered nurse ukamara imyaka 3 mu kazi. Iyo experience umaze iragukura mu cyiciro cya junior nurse kujyana mu kindi cyiciro cy'umunasi uri utangiye kuba senior. Icyo gihe n'amafaranga wahembwaga arava kuri yo wahembwaga watangiriyeho, yiyongereho percentage. Ubundi hiyongera 15% every 3 years, yagombye kwiyongera ku mushahara wawe. Noneho nyuma hakaza nuko wagiye wachivinga ibyo bita ngo imihigo. Izi expectations nizo bita imihigo, ni nk'imihigo ushaka kuzageraho, icyo uteganya ushaka ko abakozi bawe bazagera. Rero bigomba kubanza ikigo kibanza gusetinga ibyo gishaka kugeraho, n'abakozi nabo bagasetinga bashingiye ku by'ikigo kiba cyarashize. It will guide the employee on how to complete job tasks properly and also to avoid double works. So iyo urebye levels, ubundi uwa mbere yagombye kuba ari umuntu uri outstanding, wa muntu w'icyitegererezo. Akaza excellent, akaza uri very good, satisfactory, outstanding ashobora kuba ari hejuru ya 95%, and excellent akaba ari hejuru ya 80, hagati ya 80 na 95%. Biterwa no kuba bisetinga. Very good yenda 70 kugeza ku 80, satisfactory yenda akaba ari 60 kugeza ku 70. Muri performance evaluation, performance scores, amanota ari munsi ubundi ya 60, uwo muntu aba agomba kujya guhabwa amahugurwa, cyangwa se ibigo biri severe akaba yanirukana. Ariko munsi ya 50 we muri scores za performance mu kazi, uyu muntu ntabwo yakagombye kuba kiri ku kigo, yagombye kuba yaragiye cyangwa se agashaka ibindi bintu, bakamushakira ibindi bintu byamufasha, ariko ntabwo ari uwo gukoresha. So how can you set expectation then for a new employee? Mugomba kumuha job description iri clear. Hari igihe umukozi yinjira mu kigo ukavuga se uyu nguyu n'ubundi ni umudokiteri yarize, ni umunasi, gusa umunasi w'umu A1 mu A0 uje ku kigo nderabuzima turamwigisha iki se? Turamwereka icyo amenyereye akazi ugarakaza. Ntabwo ari byo, please. Niba ubu uri umuyobozi ukakira umukozi mushyashya, uko yaba ameze kose, akeneye icyo bita job description yiwe, akamenya ibyo akora. Muri scope y'akazi ke aragarukira he, azareportinga kuri inde, azakora iki, ni iki kiri main activities ziri mu kazi kiwe. Cya kabiri, agomba kubaho kudelegating assignments, no kuvuga ngo tasks z'ama duties. Hari abantu birirwa mu kigo gashaka umwe icyo akora n'undi icyo akora, ugasanga birivanze. Icyo gihe ntabwo umenya ngo uyu muntu akazi ke kari defined ku buryo niba bavuze ngo uririrwa kuri ambulance, menya ko ari ambulance. Niba bavuze ngo urakora muri postpartum, menya ko ari muri postpartum. Mukanya ntabwo urajya ku ambulance iraje ugiye kubyaza, umuntu aracompletinze ugiye guhita ubyaza ngo full direction, mukanya hakaza umuntu urimo bleedinga, mukanya urirutse. So you have to know where you are appointed. You have to set deadlines to know this will be achieved this time, this will be completed this time. Daily communication and direction must be done. Niyo mpamvu hagomba kubaho feedback, briefing, staff meeting. Mu gitondo mugakora staff meeting, mukavuga ibyabaye nijoro, iki abo kumanywa ukaba handover. Handover is very important. Utari bya bindi ugera umaze kurira bisi utangiye kuzamuka imisozi y'iruri, abari utangira kuvuga ngo ngo murabona ngo ya sample ajyanye muri labo ngo murebe ngo nana umenya nayibagiwe yerere. So handover igomba kuba in place before you leave. So hagakurikiraho rero, iyo setting expectation hagomba kubaho n'icyo bita employee engagement. Aba staff bagomba kumva ko bari involved mu kazi bakora. They have that they are interested in and focused on helping the organization to achieve its mission and desired goals. Hari igihe aba staff baba batishimiye ikigo barimo, either they are not motivated because of many factors. Reason why you have to encourage staff to be part of the organization and also help to achieve the desired goal. The employee here in red, that saying that it's employee engagement is a property of relationship between an organization and its employees. An engaged employee is defined as one who is fully absorbed by the enthusiastic about their work and so takes positive action for further the organization's reputations and interest. It's important because when the employees are engaged, the attitude and behavior of employees is influenced. The marked productivity of employees also increases. It increases employee morale and satisfaction, and improves retention of employees. Nawe iyo wicaye hari urimo wiga utari engaged mu masomo, akaguru kamwe kari hanze kandi kari mu cyo gihe, either you are not motivated yo kuba hari umuntu wagusunitse aravuga ati genda wige kubyaza, sibyo wowe sibyo washakaga, icyo gihe na engagement ugira uravuga uti n'ubundi nabyize kuri pressure. So uravuga uti nta internal motivation wowe, ni external pressure yagufashe kujyana mu kwiga, maybe ibintu byo kuvura wowe utaranabishaka. Icyo gihe you are not full engaged. Reason why you can have also it can have a negative impact on you, where also you can even fail ku buryo bworoshye. Niyo mpamvu kugira ngo aba staff babe engaged mu kazi, nuko baba bafite satisfaction nuko bafite motivation, internal motivation imujyana kuri gukora cyaki. Ibyo rero bituma bimuha morale na satisfaction mw'ibyo akora. Kuba ndi kwiga kubyaza kugira gute bimpa morale, nge ndumva iyo ndimo n'examining umudamu mukurikirana mubyaza banumva muri ngewe kabisa nagira gute banumva ufite iyo satisfaction mu kazi kawe. So muri profession yawe wahisemo, cyo rero kiri very important no kuba staff. Employee to be engaged, there are three ways that we can do to improve and retain them. You must have are motivated, are well engaged mu kazi, no kuguma muri ka kazi asanzwe arimo biriyongera. Ugasanga ntabwo mu staff ava hanga agiye. Niyo mpamvu ubona hari turnover nyinshi y'abakozi bo kwa muganga. Munasi muri santé imwohereza Nyamasheke cyangwa se kandi avuka Nyagatare, ejo akagenda Nyamasheke amarayo amezi 6 bikamucanga, kandi sheri we yibereye hehe? Yibereye mu majyaruguru. Urumva akavuga ati se none nsongera tubonane dute? Sho ejo akabonye ka farumasi bafunguye mu majyaruguru, kahita yigirayo akemera akagenda agakorera make, ariko akegera sheri wiwe. Izo ngizo zose ni ama factors yakagombye kubaho muri retention. Kugira rero ngugire retention y'umu staff, nuko cyambere ni motivation. Motivation ni uburyo bwo gutanga reason of doing something, even if is in Nyagatare, ariko se motivation iri mu muzemo kugira ngo abashe kugumayo ntayo. Either uramuha amafaranga menshi basajya atega indege Rwanda muri weekend, muri rimwe mu kwezi basaze, ariko aragenda muri bisi nayo imupfireho arare mu Nyungwe Karongi. So it's a big problem. The feedback also, the second also way that use to giving evaluative and corrective information about an action, event or process to the original source. No kuvuga ngo hari umu staff atabona feedback z'imikorere yiwe iri positive, cyangwa se ibyo akora neza ni ibihe, ibyo bintu birakumotiva nawe ukavuga uti rwose Mr. Aime wakoze neza uyu munsi, turagushimira. Ariko ahangaha naho wakoze ntabiri kugenda neza. Iyo uri gutanga feedback buri gihe utangira kuri positive, wakoze neza, gushimira, so proud of you because of achieving this milestone. Turakugira gute n'ibi bakagushimira n'ibindi. Organization communications, that the information you give to and receive from employees, patients, board of and other stakeholders. Ya communication nayo ituruka mu bayobozi hehe, uko ibyo byose bituma bibasha kumotiva, ukabasha kuguma mu kazi wari usanzwe urimo. Biri important kubera ko rero tugiye kuri motivation ni uburyo bwo gutanga of giving someone a reason for doing something. As we saw, people are motivated by several different forces. You can influence staff to align their own motivations with the needs of the organization. Also, you can also establishing the needs of your staff and assisting to meet them. We create trust. Biriya bintu no mu kazi ntabwo biba mu buzima busanzwe, no mu kazi ni kubera ko umuntu hari needs ufite, hari social needs, hari ziri biological, hari ibyo byose, ziriya zose zinfluencinga no mu mikorere yawe uko bimeze. Niba umuntu ntabwo afite aharara, ni urugero, arara mu kazu karavirirana cyangwa se kameze ukuntu, none wowe araza ku kazi umushakaho katanga service kandi yaraye ataryama. N'urugero, umuntu transport kugira ngo agere ku kazi biramutwara amasaha arenze 3, kandi nta bundi amafaranga ahembwa, nta bundi ashobora gukuramo transport means izindi zimufasha, agomba kuza on foot. Ubwo niba utasesinze ngo urebe umuntu aragera ku kazi, arahaguruka saa 10, ahaguruke mu rugo, azagera ku kazi saa 1, yananiwe, yagize ate, kandi umushakaho iki? Umushakaho umusaruro. Icyo gihe ntabwo uri gutekereza kuri cya kintu cya motivation y'uwo mustaff. Niyo mpamvu rero you have to think about this. Izi bigiye bitwara bibonye no muri introduction, kuko this is very important. Umuntu niba atariye yiriwe ku kazi, hari nayo igihe umuntu yirirwa ku kazi akagira n'icyaka, ugasanga ku kazi nta nubwo babaha amazi, shaka amazi. Nibibona namwe mwagiye mu master, icyaka kikakwicira ahantu mu bitaro, kandi uri gukora akazi, uri guswetinga, byaza abagore, uragira ute? None uwo muntu ngo umushaka w'umusaruro mu kanya, kandi ntiyanagize gute, ntiyanariye, ntiyananyoye. Naricaye abarwayi akorera urugero n'indera, abarwayi birirwa bamukubitagura, ibisebe byose biruzuye, uwo muntu deja nta security afite aho ngaho. None uratekereza ko uwo muntu azaba motive yo kuguma aho hantu gute? Ariko umuyobozi ntabwo yasesinga ngo arebe se staff ubundi. Ibyo rero ubikura hehe? Muri how you create relationship, uko create imibanire n'abastaff, ni kumenya n'imibereho yabo. Ibyo rero byose ni kubanza kubyubaka, sibyo? Are we together or not? Matangiye gusonza saa 6:30 ndahita mbarekura mu gihe. So how to motivate people? There are external motivation that can money, praises, great titles, fear of punishment. That is like an external motivators, and an internal motivators, that is internal satisfaction, like personal joy of learning, desire to help, interest in a subject, desire to learn, sense of achievement, sense of purpose. That's all about the internal motivation. The motivation which is in you personally, but there's external, those are from that you can get from outside or rewards from other people. So the basic need for motivation, that can be like salary and benefits, working conditions. So for example, influence the motivation, salary and benefits. Ni byiza guhembwa ukabona amaki benefits, ma bonus, ma prime n'ibindi, kuruhuka. Hari igihe umukozi akora ugasanga amaze umwaka wose ataruhuka, cyangwa se za holidays zaba zisanzwe even za leta ntaruhuke, cyane cyane nk'abanase, abantu bakora kwa muganga n'abaganga n'abaki. Kuva ku wa mbere, kuva ku itariki ya mbere kugeza ku ya 12, ugasanga umuntu nta public holiday yigeze abona, cyangwa se ikiruhuko gisanzwe cy'umwaka iyo bita ordinary leave, nayo ukayisanga bamuhaye iminsi 10 gusa ugaruke mu kazi rererere. So ibyo rero nabyo biri mu bintu Mustafa agenda atakaza the motivation gake gake. Hari icyo bita working conditions, amasaha y'akazi. Niba leta ivuze ngo gukora amasaha mu cyumweru ni 40, ariko wowe yarenga ugasanga nta muntu uri recognize. Niba uri umukozi, wowe nk'umukoresha wagomye kuvuga uti mwihangane, igihe turacyashakisha uburyo wenda amasaha azubahirizwa, ariko nk'abakozi bo kwa muganga kugira ngo iki kintu kizubahirizwe byabaye ikibazo. Ariko gukora amasaha y'ikirenga nko mu Rwanda ahantu nzi babyubahiriza ni King Faisal yonyine, niyo yishyura amasaha y'ikirenga. Ariko ibindi bitaro byose Mustafa aravuga ati mwamaye amasaha menshi y'akazi, ugasanga uvuye ahantu ko twe dukora erererere. So is not true, that's not true. As a manager ugomba kumenya ko ya masaha y'ikirenga afite rights zo gukora amasaha angana n'abandi. Wo kumva ngo nta stati yihariye abakozi bo kwa muganga bafite ngo bazakora amasaha menshi. Twese tugendera kuri stati y'abakozi ba leta, tukagendera niyo bita lebalo. Lebalo ireba abakozi bagengwa n'amasezerano. Ibyo mugomba gutangira kugenda mubimenya. Hari statute igengwa na minisiteri n'abakozi bwite ba leta, hari noneho na lebalo cyangwa se itegeko ry'umurimo rigenga abakozi bose bagerwa n'amasezerano, baba arabakorera prive cyangwa se arabakorera leta, bose bagengwa n'amasezerano, bagengwa niyo bita lebalo, cyangwa se mushobora kwisacinga mukayibona, cyangwa se bita itegeko ry'umurimo mu Kinyarwanda. Workplace layout, facilities and equipments. Hari ahantu haba nafite na infrastructure imeze nabi neza hatabubahirizwa. Nk'ubu urugero birakufrustra mu kazi, ugasanga ujya kuri requisition imiti, urazenguruka amazu yose y'ikigo kugira ngo uzagere, bikagutera izo layout. Company policy, hari igihe n'ikigo kiba gifite amategeko aremereye agoranye. Status, rank authority, are you still there? Bamwe batangiye kurya cyangwa bimeze gute? Are you still together? Okay. Is it clear for you? I think. How is the human resource management? To manage well your staff? Wonderful. Okay. Job security also is important because there is confidence in regards to continued employment in an organization, supervision, autonomy, extend to control over the content of execution of the. Hari igihe umuntu bamuhoza uri umusupervisor ugahoza ku nkeke aba staff bawe, buri munota wowe ubikoze nabi rerere. So ibyo bituma umustaff atagira confidence kandi atagira n'ikintu cya autonomy na innovation y'ibintu. Utuntu dushagombye kubazanira twose aradukipinga cause so ntabwo ari byiza rero guhoza umuntu ikintu cya supervision. Mustafa agomba kumuha umwanya akagira autonomy, ariko ukagira uburyo bwa control butari excessive. Office life, level and type of interpersonal relation with workmates. Hari igihe nawe aba ari ikibazo muri relations n'abandi ba staff n'ibiki. Personal life nayo ikaba ikindi kibazo. Hari igihe akazi kagutwara umwanya wose ugasanga nta mwanya ufite w'umuryango w'inshuti, ntugisohoka. Ubu ngubu mwari muri mu ishuri, urumva murangiza kwiga, twabigisha mbere ya saa sita, nyuma ya saa sita mukaba mwagiye he ahandi bahita hehe uri harya kuri harya bahita hehe. So ibyo ngibyo nabyo kubura umwanya wo kujya mu bintu byawe bwite bishobora nabyo kugenda bikudemotivatinga gace gace. Hari ahantu hakurya uri ku musozi hari akamoteri ni kumikaji, kumikaji, yes, kumikaji, yes, I know there, it was there one day, it's nice. Mwagiye kuri komikaji. Also it's part of also the motivation factor, kubona umwanya nawo wo guha na famiye cyangwa se n'inshuti zawe umwanya igihe bikenewe. Ibindi internal motivators, hari achievements, recognitions, byabindi nababwiraga umuntu uko umuntu umaze imyaka irenga 10 mu kigo ntiwigeze uko waje ni kukiri, nta kantu na kamwe wigeze uteremo imbere, n'umukoresha nawe yagomye kukureba akagira isoni, ariko umukoresha we anezezwa n'iki ngo nuko ukimukorera ka kazi. Ubunza abantu hari abantu twiganye mu secondaire, nje nize sciences infirmières muri yo bitaga sciences infirmières muri AD muri ore bajya muyita senior six, ubu sinzi uko muyita senior six. Nayize muri guhera mu mwaka wa 4 nyuma ya tronc commun, nize sciences infirmières gihari, tuyiga imyaka 3 batwara abana batoya, ariko kugeza uyu munsi imyaka ishize yose igiye kuba hafi 20, usanga ari abantu bakiri A2 nurses twiganye, ahantu batangiye bakora kuva muri iyo myaka za 2005 na 2006, now they are still working there. Ukareba umuntu umukoresha aramukoresha arishimye kuko yamaze kuba expert mu bintu byinshi, za programu za HIV, TB, nibo bita ngo bakoze amatraining za task shifting, protocole zose ziri mu mutwe, ariko se career development umuntu afite ni iyi kugira ngo umuntu agire satisfaction personnelle cyangwa se internal motivation, nuko hari achievements, hari n'izindi advancement. Iriya slide na presenting murimo mureba, umuntu agomba kugira advancement, ntimugazakoresha umustaff igihe muzaba mwabaye abayobozi, umustaff amara imyaka 3, 4, 5, 6 nta achievement yindi, nta advancement muri kubona afite. So that is ni ikintu kibi cyane. Namwe nimurangiza A1 mugiye kurangiza mukora imyaka 2, 3 mukomeze muzamuke. Ntabwo icyo kintu rero kikumotiva, nubwo zari izindi factors ziba zihari, ariko muri internally now you are not motivated. So hakaza recognitions, umuntu ukakinologinga ibyo yagiye abona n'iki, job interest, umuntu akaba yishimiye akazi, responsibility mu muha akabona arazishimiye, kamacinga na individual interest, ibyo byose responsibilities, akabona umwanya wo gukora, bari umuyobozi akabona umwanya wo gutanga izo responsibilities yahawe, agafata decisions aho bishoboka, agatanga n'ama recommendations, nabyo bikagenda bishyirwa mu bikorwa. So tugomba gufokasinga cyane rero ku izi internal motivators tubonye cyane, kuko nibyo biba biri muri interne. Kugira ngo tubigire rero tuzifokasingeho, nuko tugomba kwadressinga basic needs, fokasinga kuri internal ziriya, tugatanga more choice in what they work and also how they work, encouraging the pursuit of their interest and the passions. Barangiza iyi ngiyi exercise muzayikora, ariko noneho tukanareba icyo bita feedback hariya muri feedback dutanga, umuntu twamaze kumwevaluatinga, turebye performance ye, turebye ibi ngibi uba bigezeho, ariko uracyabura ibi n'ibi, akenshi bizamo amarangamutima rimwe na rimwe. Ariko hari nk'umudirector wa nursing nzi kera, njye nabaye na director wa nursing ku bitaro by'i Masaka imyaka ngira ngo muri 6, ibitaro bigitangira 2012 kugeza 2016 na 7, 2011 kugeza 2016. Aha hari umudirector wa nursing w'ibitaro ntavuze, yakoze evaluation y'umunasi w'umugenzi wo mu metron, amuha amanota makeya, barangije bari barangurana bararwana. So muri office abantu baza gukiza ibintu birakomera. No kuvuga ngo rero niba uri kwevaluating umuntu, muzabona mu bitaro muzageramo mubona amafomu bakoresha, niba utangiye akazi bashobora kwevaluwa after 3 or 6 months, iyo bita probation period. Iyo probation period uyu mustaff ayivuyemo, yayindi umustaff mushya baramukorera evaluation. Haba hari izo bita checklist zikoreshwa ngo performance evaluation form, akenshi ziba zevaluwa buri mwaka cyangwa se buri kwezi, bitewe na hari y'umwaka nayo buri kwezi cyangwa buri kwezi. Ariko ibiriho ibintu ugomba kureba byose, staff yaje ku kazi ku gihe, staff akora task twamushinze, n'ibi ibyo byose, ama attitude agira, discipline, reports atanga, biba biri well designed. Then iyo bimaze gukorwa usanga kenshi tugira ikibazo cyo gutanga iyi feedback. Niba ugiye gutanga feedback ku muntu wakoreye evaluation, ugomba kumenya se ndayimuha gute. Uburyo uvuga byagombye kuba uburyo uvugamo, tone murayumva. Tone ni ukuvuga ngo niba mvuga aksa y'ijwi ryanjye rimeze, umuntu ntabwo mubwira mukankamira, ese ijwi ryanjye riratuje, ese ndamubwira muri hejwe. Muri abantu bafite ibijwi nyine biremereye bikanga abantu,